Is it not the regret of the past and the anticipation of the future that causes anxiety and depression? I'm not here to say that this is cookie cutter, one size fits all generic. No, it's not that simple. It's probably a lot more complex than that. But the interesting thing is that when you really look at it, when a person is totally present, right, not being pulled back into the past, right, worrying about something that they said and wishing that it could have been different, that they could have just either not said it or said something differently. But then also incessantly worrying about a future event that doesn't actually end up happening. The present is very interesting. Because from what I understand, when a person is totally present, like totally totally present, and I understand that it can be very easy, based in comfort and familiarity, probably, and identity. I'll jump more into the identity aspect of this in a second, but it's comfortable to get sucked into the past and feel regretful about it, feel depressed about it. It's comfortable to feel anxious, to have anxious thoughts about the anticipation of the future. But is it not true that both anxiety and depression dissolve when a person is totally 100% present? What is the fear of being present, right? If it's possible to achieve such a state, why don't more people do it? Is it just that it's challenging, or do people actually find safety inside of anxiety and depression? There was a point in my life when I consistently felt pretty much nothing other than anxiety and depression. I think I probably thought that that was just life, that that's the way that life is supposed to be. Life is a fucking train wreck that is on fire, flipped over and twisted, ridden with anxiety and depression. Until I started doing the work to heal the anxiety and depression that I was regularly feeling, and that's when I realized I'm being used by my mind. And I've said this before, and I'm sure that somebody else has probably said it just some other way, but what you're used to will use you. And if so, if you continue to wake up on a daily basis, the program is already regret of the past, which brings depression, and fear of the future, which brings anxiety, right? I literally used to live that way. It is, or I should say, it was comfortable and familiar. But do anxiety and depression actually exist in the present moment, or are they just of the mind? Are they just mind and body made, reacting to the same thing in the same way that they always have because that's what's comfortable and familiar? They're bringing the energy and the dynamics, the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of the past into the future. So therefore, they just continue to experience the same thing and just recycle the same anxiety and depression over and over and over again, and nothing changes. But what's more so fascinating to me is the capacity for a human to be so present that anxiety and depression just dissolve. They don't exist anymore. What's fascinating about this is that when I look at my own self, I say this and I'm like, oh, but that's not the way that life's supposed to be. Life is supposed to be anxiety-ridden and depressing. Oh, really? Is it actually? Or is it just that is based in familiarity, and that is the way that I learned to live? Right? Growing up, I heard so many people say that that's just the way that life is. The more I grow, the more I heal, the more I see that that is just not true. It's bullshit. People are walking belief systems. Oh, you can't do that. You can't think and feel your way out of an awful fucking life with awful fucking circumstances. You sure about that? If what you're experiencing now is a terrible fucking life, but it's based in thought, feeling, and behavioral patterns of consistent, really low energy, well, yeah, life is mirroring to you what you think, feel, and behave. Why would you get a paradise retreat that would mirror really beautiful, elevated emotions if what you're operating from is fear and lack and worry and depression and all these low energy things? Right? I say it now, and this is also funny too, because I love the present moment. I love the capacity to be present and to like really be congruent with that. There's still a part of me, I think, I don't know how accurate I am about this. I know myself pretty well, but I'm still learning a lot about myself. If I were to be so present that anxiety and depression disappear, something in me says, that's unknown. You have too many attachments to let go of the past and the future. You need to hold on to that because that's comfortable and that's familiar. That reminds you of who you are. Why would you let go of that? You can't let go of that. That's not a safe thing to let go of. So as I sit with it and I really think about my capacity as an individual to remain present and therefore allow anxiety and depression to dissolve, because they really don't need to be there. The amount of times that I find myself with people where I find myself unconsciously tense, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Melt. Relax. Right? I did it today. Probably did it yesterday. I know I've done it before. I'll probably do it tomorrow or the next day. Unfamiliarizing the self with all of the shit that I've carried around that is attached to the past and attached to the future, and just being present, right? It's fascinating. It really is. When you are so present, the anxiety and depression disappear. It's a wild experience because I think that the safety is, oh, well, no, I need the past. I need the past because it reminds me this about myself. Oh, I need the future because it tells me this about myself. Do I really? I don't think so. I really don't. I really don't think so. That's all mind-made. It really is all mind-made. And the interesting thing, too, is that I feel like if you were to take somebody who is very used to anxiety and depression, it's just comfortable for them. It's familiar. They're attached to it. A life without that, if they were to be freed from that, they would probably just look for it again. People live based on what it is that they're familiar with. And so they can continue either living the same way, with the same anxiety and depression, based on their past and based on their future, or they can exit that, and they can choose to be so unbelievably present that the anxiety and the depression dissolves and fades away, right? And, by the way, that other model, the more exciting model, from what I understand, that is the quantum model. That is what Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about. And it's really all about disidentifying from the comfortable, familiar self, right? If the comfortable, familiar self is very identified with the anxiety and depression of the past and the future, it's going to limit them, right? But then once you get beyond that, you expand, and that's when everything changes. So, to end off, when you when you're so present that anxiety and depression disappear, it's possible. It's very possible. And I've been here, by the way. A lot of people are just completely identified with the noise of their mind. That's just the reality of it. I first started learning about this. I will legit end off with this. I first started learning about all of this stuff when back in, I believe it was 2015, I read Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, and that book completely transformed my life. And then, of course, after that, there were other books that I read and stuff, and yeah. And here, let me just make this very clear. I'll end off with this, actually. The present moment is actually where the power of manifestation happens. Because there's actually no other moment than right now, than this moment, right? And if you can feel like you already have what it is that you want, which you have to decondition yourself from the previously conditioned and familiar and comfortable self, you can actually create a new self, right? Personality is changeable. Personality consists of how you think, feel, and act. All three of those are changeable. You can change your thoughts, you can change your feelings, you can change your behavior. Therefore, with that, you can change your life, and that's pretty fucking wild. So, why would anybody not want to be present and dissolve anxiety and depression? I don't know. But you can. And it might take a little bit of time and energy, but you could probably do it right now. Meow. Right, meow. Stealing another YouTuber's use of that. Shout out to him. Shout out to everyone. Hope you're all well. Happy Sunday. It's a great day. Coming out of a blizzard out here. Have a wonderful Sunday.